coming to you live from the Sal Greco residence and broadcast suite. Good news, Sal. Scientists have discovered the source of the explosive diarrhea. Apparently, it's coming directly from the ass. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. We've got to talk about the NYPD soccer mom, basically Jessica Tisch. So what is going on? She's been spying on cops, or what is she doing?
Yeah, this was a little crazy. So I came to find out that there's this lieutenant named is Catherine Guerrero. She worked in the Personnel Orders Division, which is under the Chief of Personnel, Chief Benoit. And look, I understand that she might be very close with the former Deputy Commissioner of Public Information, Tariq Shepard. Now, I don't cast, judgment on people like others. So just because, and I've been there, someone or involved with someone, now that makes you guilty of all this person's crimes or whatever they might have been doing. That's not the case. There's no evidence linking Guerrero to anything that they're looking at Tariq Shepard for. So you recall right on this show, we were discussing all those raids that occurred, and we're going to get to a raid that happened yesterday. But there were raids that occurred on Chief McCarthy at the time, Chief James McCarthy, two-star chief, assistant chief was the chief of Manhattan South, the former chief of department, Jeffrey Madry, and Tariq Shepard. Now, I had explained this to everyone, and I said, Tariq Shepard, they're trying to say is the mastermind or whatever this thing is that they're looking at. And how did they start this investigation? The soccer mom to Internal Affairs, a little henchman, Ed Thompson, the chief of Internal Affairs, referred this case to the SDNY or the FBI, and voila, you got all these raids, which were done in conjunction with the NYPD, which means what? The NYPD has access to whatever information or whatever communications they grab. They grab people's cell phones. So the allegation here is the soccer mom has somehow seen the communications from Tariq Shepard. And Tariq Shepard's communications, he talks to the Lieutenant Guerrero. And in these communications, Lieutenant Guerrero said not so many fond things about the soccer mom. Now, that's not a crime. This is private conversations between two people. And I don't know what the extent of their relationship is. There's all kinds of allegations about that. I'm saying she's an innocent person, not being looked at, not a target of an investigation, but somehow you now have these communications. And because of this, the soccer mom personally transferred her to the 5-2 precinct. There's no talk about the union. Everyone is talking about this, yet nothing is being done. And the word in the One Police Plaza is, well, the soccer mom, she's a billionaire, and what are you going to do is kind of like the mob. And if you go after her or attack, the soccer mom, something will happen to you, which is crazy. I mean,
Wow.
police officers are crazy. And I wrote about this. I reached out to DCPI. Of course, that's Delaney Kemper, the we'll say the right-hand henchwoman for the soccer mom, who's basically trying to run a coordinated political campaign for her aspirations as mayor or whatever office she thinks she's going to get or seek. But this, from my sources, and I have really good ones, this occurred, this actually happened, and there's been no response. And here's the other catch here, Jason. The NYPD has now started. Now, you used to see, I would post the actual official document of transfers or whatever's going on in the police department. She's trying to make this now where she sends out transfers and anything going on in personnel through the machine. When they send this out, it says confidential.
So
but
it
it
can't
be
release
confidential.
it.
But Jason, it can't be confidential. These are public documents. There's nothing confidential about it. She's trying to see if this comes out and it says confidential,
Then she
meaning
knows who got it.
Who's getting what, and try to narrow this down.
She's using counterintelligence tactics to
Yeah.
try to root out the mole.
And here's the problem. Instead of addressing the problems, she seems to want to address the people that might be leaking things out. If everything was perfect,
There
you
would
would
be no
say there are
leaks.
no leaks.
Yeah.
But that she is horrible. So Jason, she's trying to go after people that are basically whistleblowers instead of what's going on around her, which is the
Unbelievable.
more concerning thing.
Oh yeah. So I mean, instead of fighting crime, basically, she's just going after her critics and internal, enemies. That is very mafiosa-ish. This is the soccer mom, Sal. Very bad form by her right there. Unbelievable.
I mean, I get things all the time here, but with this thing, it's very disturbing to me, and I don't care what people think of Tariq Shepard. I'm not into feelings. I'm looking at facts, and if that's allowed to stand, Jason, that means that anyone else in the police department, if somehow they deem you an enemy of the state, then
You
they'll
have
say,
no
"Well, we'll
Fourth
get
Amendment rights. They just
yeah,
start
we'll,
surveilling you. You've already told us how they can issue not exactly subpoenas, but what was that section?
Administrative Code 14-137A, which is the administrative subpoena, and they use this. They could say anything, Jason. They make it up and they send it to your phone company, and your phone carrier thinks, oh no, subpoena, it's a criminal case. No, it's not.
Right.
A lot of times, this is not a criminal
But
case.
it's
This is a ritual.
NYPD and they're a phone company. They're just going to comply. Now, wait a minute, Sal. You got to remind everybody, who is Tariq Shepard? What's going on with him?
Tariq Shepard was the Deputy Commissioner of Public Information. If you remember, it was like a whole thing. These guys were together. You had Kaz Daughtry, you had John Shell, you had Madry, you had Shepard, you had Eddie Caban, and of course, you had Eric Adams, and then the Crumbs crew. You had Tim Pearson. You have this other guy who, I see Valerie Caproni gave him a court-appointed lawyer, which is actually better than a lawyer he had because he couldn't afford one, Tony Herbert. And, so the point here was these guys, he's on the investigation right now, even though he's no longer in the police department. It's funny why Internal Affairs would be looking into this, but he's on the investigation and they're trying to make him out to be the ringleader of whatever it is they're looking at. This pay for play, bribery thing that they're alleging is what the FBI is looking at with the NYPD. The thing is this woman has nothing to do with that. Just because she either knows him or is involved with him doesn't mean she knows what he actually did or is involved with what he did. So to seek those records, and by the way, they can now go and do what happened to me. They use an administrative subpoena to go into this further if she wants. But by transferring her, which is essentially an administrative transfer, Jason, it usually follows up with some kind of investigation, some kind of command discipline. I don't know this for sure. But then again, the official transfer, Jason, on piece of paper has never been released because now they're hiding these things and trying to say things are confidential so that people don't see a public document. I mean, this is like the Gestapo, Jason.
Yeah,
This is what this woman's running, the
pretty bad.
Stasi.
Pretty bad. And so what's bad about the 52nd precinct? They just like get her the hell out of here?
Well, it's not the precinct. I mean, it's a good place to land on your feet per se if you're getting launched for doing a misdeed or something. But in this case, this would hurt this girl who's, by all accounts, she's a quiet person who wants no publicity. Like she's a lieutenant, but she's very quiet and doesn't ruffle any feathers. And here you are, taking essentially the chief of department's right hand woman. This woman's the lieutenant. She does all that administrative work. And you just launched her, and clearly you understand that to do a move like this is more. It has more to do with the soccer mom than people think. You don't get transferred from the personnel division as a lieutenant, just launched to a precinct, and your chief isn't going to try to say something.
I
Obviously,
don't
you
think
got
I
pretty.
understand what she did to raise the ire of the soccer mom. What did this
It,
lieutenant do?
it's the text messages from her to Tariq Shepard.
Oh,
She
and
has
is that even on an NYPD device or
no.
she? Wow.
It's just but what it is they retrieved Tariq Shepard's communications when they went to his home. They took his phones, and this is on the phone. He
Mm.
doesn't have. You wouldn't have time to even. Why you
Why do
would
they even
delete anything
care?
that's not illegal?
Right. It's like
So
just saying they don't like the soccer mom.
yeah.
But what about Eric Adams' text messages? I thought he couldn't remember the password to the phone.
Oh, what's very interesting there, Jason, is I remember I did a FOIA request way back when he finally did get his phones. He had 7 of them, right? One of those phones was a New York City Police Department phone. Jason, they don't issue those phones to the mayor because the mayor has his own detail and he has a police commissioner. So the contents of that phone belong to the public. And I have yet to get access to it because I filed a FOIA request and I've been waiting. I've now been delayed 4 separate times, including under Zohran Mamdani is the mayor right now. So I don't know why we can't see, because if he was texting people and using Signal and whatever it is he's doing on that phone, the American public has a right to know. He was not a member of the New York City Police Department. So I don't know why he even had access to that phone, even as the mayor. So that's another case that has been almost forgotten about. I haven't forgotten about it. And I don't know if you have to file an Article 78 because they're just going to delay. I mean, it's just the name of the game with these people is delay, delay, delay. And that right there shows you that was part of the administrative
Yeah.
subpoena nonsense, is how they use it to get your communications. And they do this to a lot of people. In fact, they try to do this to a journalist, Tina Moore, and they did it. And they were about to get sued and they were about to get in a lot of trouble. And they claimed that they were going to stop. They clearly have not. They continue this to this day. It's a dirty tactic. And unless you see accountability, Jason, it is not going to stop. So this woman is all about the surveillance state. We already know about her conflict of interest. We could double check on that with 10 for Holdings and Ray Secor and the bomb squad. And she was the original deputy commissioner of the ITB, which is in the Technology Bureau. She loves this stuff, Jason. This is right up her alley, going people's phone records, and she
Right.
loves this stuff. The
Oh, by the
surveillance
way,
state.
here she is surveilling you, Sal, at your beautiful Fort Lauderdale apartment.
Yeah, she wants to survey. Well, they have tried to survey me in the show. They got phone records. They should have never had those phone records because they went after my friend, Detective Dave Terrell, who actually retired while under this nonsense investigation. But they never had a department trial for him. And right now he's actually fighting to, he sued them and he's fighting to get his HR 218, his good guy letter, because he didn't commit a crime. His crime was he knew me.
Wow.
Sounds like funny because that's what Roger Stone used to say about himself with me.
Right.
Sal's crime is he knew me. Dave's crime is that he knew me. But this is America, Jason. And unless you get convicted of a crime, if you do past 10 years of service in any police department and you're not convicted of a crime, you should be able to get your HR 218. And it's for people who don't know, this is very important. It's something as a police officer, the right to carry a gun in all 50 states. That opens up employment opportunities for security, for high-end jobs once you leave. When you don't have that, you can't go to 50 states. It closes the door on a lot. Remember, you spent your whole life as a police officer. You have all these training, you got all this training for many things,
Experience.
and you can't use it because someone that wants to hire you says, well, I live in New York and want to go to this state or whatever, Washington. You're going to come with me on an airplane. You're doing my security. You can't because you don't have that letter. So that's a problem. And it's something that they like to do.
Well, they
This guy,
hold it
Ed
over your head,
Thompson.
don't they? They know it's like a sword of Damocles, where if you do
Yeah.
anything they don't like, this thing is constantly hanging
And,
over
and
you.
it feels like Ed Thompson, who's the internal affairs chief, who's really you got to take a second look with that guy. I feel like he's mounting these HR 218 certificates on his wall
Huh.
because
Like
he seems
trophies?
it's like a trophy. He keeps going after people. And even though, I mean, this guy, Jeremy Schlubin, this creep that was indicted, and rightfully so, he doesn't have a good guy letter. And he mounted that on his wall because he actually rushed to do an interrogation, which is why he was fired the other day. They actually did the interrogation before the criminal trial was up, which is unusual, but they did it so that they could fire him. But again, he mounted that letter on his wall. Now he has the right. He's been taking everyone's right to carry. This is their new thing that if they can't destroy you personally or destroy you while you're in the NYPD or take your pension, right? That's another thing they like. Like they took mine.
Yeah.
They want to take your right to carry a gun in all 50 states, and that limits your job opportunities. They love this
So
stuff.
how can they take that from you? I mean, when you're working every day for 14 years, that's money that's like saving up to pay you. It's your money. How can they take it?
Well, that's what this my next course of litigation will be featuring this part of why I don't have an HR 218 letter. Listen, you guys in the NYPD decided that you didn't like me because who I'm friends with. Meanwhile, I should have been partying with Jimmy Rodriguez at Con Sofrito, and I would have had everything. I could have even had a whole batch of drugs. Been no problem. Who knows what those guys were doing over there. But this problem, what they did is they did this on purpose to hurt you. So on top of it, when there's damages, this will come up. Why did you do this to someone who didn't do anything criminal? Your own investigation said there's nothing criminal, but we're going to fire him anyway. Oh, and by the way, we're going to throw the extra dagger. No good guy letter for you. No good guy letter for many people recently. And this seems to be a tactic they love doing, even though you're not convicted of a crime. And it says by law, you have 10 years of service and you're not convicted of any crimes for anything, even or official misconduct, then why aren't you getting your good guy letter? Your right to carry a gun and all. You did time. You're an upstanding cop. So you have an internal issue with someone. That's different than saying a criminal issue where they shouldn't have a gun. I mean, I'm not mental. I don't have any of these problems. There's a lot of guys like me that have been doing this too. So, and then they have people that they took it away from and gave it back, like Tim Pearson. So, very crazy what they're doing, which leads us up to the next thing, right? Where Anthony Miranda got raided.
Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. So now the FBI has the weed money.
The weed money. This
He's
guy,
like, oh, I spent all that weed money. What are you talking about?
and guess what? He got in trouble for this because when he was
Remind
doing it,
everybody, though, remind everybody, this is the guy, he's the sheriff, so he's not even actually
was.
NYPD. He was the sheriff,
Yeah.
and he had all these raids of illegal marijuana stores, but it was an illegal raid. Well, they just decided to do it.
So many illegal raids. None of this was done with a warrant. A lot of it, they were ordered to give people their property back. They
Kept the
destroyed it.
money and the weed.
The money's supposed to be vouchered through the police department. That's a separate issue. But he would run around. You saw the videos of Valor with Kaz Dordry, right? And the other problem with this was the sheriff in New York City. For people that don't know, this is not a sheriff like in your local town. If you live in the Midwest or down south, the sheriff answers to the New York City Department of Finance.
Whoa. Wait, Sal, look at this. The New York Times yesterday said that this has got to do with the sheriff's relationship with some of the world's largest tobacco companies. So
Yeah.
R.J. Reynolds said, "Go steal the weed."
Well, here's the thing. This has got to do with connections to the CCP and fraud.
Whoa.
I got this. I got this from once again really good sources, and this is separate. It's a standalone. What Miranda was doing, and he also raided someone else. Is one of his underlings that was with him, the guy that used to work with him. He left a mess. There's financial issues that were left behind. I don't know why this guy was allowed to stay on as sheriff. Could it have been that he went down to Somos when Mamdani was there? He saw him with his best friend there, Jimmy Rodriguez, as well. So I don't know exactly why he remained as a sheriff, but this guy is super conflicted, and he's known. He was a boob on the job. We call him a boob. The guy. Look at him. He looks like Woody from the Toy Story. They gave him a nickname.
He looks like a Muppet or something. Yeah.
And remember, he was raided before because he couldn't find the money that was missing in the safe. They found money in his safe and money that was missing.
Oops.
Right? Yeah. Look at this guy. This guy, I've heard so many stories and the deplorable conditions he put the sheriffs of New York City under, right? And how he's treating people, how he was abusive. And I knew something spectacular was going to happen at the end here. And he had a NYPD car in front of his home there in Queens. And I actually had a picture of the car in front of the home. And then they had to take that away because that only happens if you're getting a special accommodation from the very top. And he
Wow.
had the car there for like 2 years. You get a 1 year accommodation, but the person that imaginarily threatened him because he got arrested and we never heard anything again, that was like in November of 2024 or 2023, and the car was still there into late 2025. Only until I had posted, I said, this guy has a car in front of the home. What the hell's going on there? But this, just Jason, this is another person in Eric Adams' circle.
No, but they found the weed here. He's going through boxes of
Load of
illicit
boxes.
cannabis. He's like, oh, I got
But
the weed in here
this is
somewhere.
this is another Eric Adams crony, we'll say, part of the Crumbs crew, who now is facing all kinds of problems. I mean, I was listening, I heard Curtis Slewa this morning mention Frank Carone and mentioning that he allegedly heard that he did a proffer because his brother is also indicted with him and he's terrified of going to jail. So whether Frank Carone takes the heat for all
what
that
is
or
a
not,
proffer? What's the difference between a proffer and a
proffer
plea
is when
deal?
you go and you sit down with the prosecutors and look, this guy could say mea culpa, everything's on him.
It's the
He
same
takes
thing
the fall.
as a plea deal, basically.
Yeah, you could take it. You could take the fall or not. I don't know, but that's what Curtis was saying this morning, and he knows a lot about the Carones. He's been all over the Frank Carone in particular for many years. I heard that, but this is a separate issue, right? And there's rumblings about the original three that we discussed at the beginning of the show with Tariq Shepard and Madry and McCarthy. Of course, Tiny Kinsella, we know her. Allegedly, she's doing a lot of proffers and talking a lot. I mean, she should have been thrown in the middle of that too because she's very close with those guys and whatever was going on. There's going to be more to come out of this. And I think, I'm just saying, a certain former disgraced chief we haven't seen or heard a
John
lot
Shell?
about. Where has he been lately? I
I
wonder
don't
what's
know.
going on there. Just don't
We
throw
got to
that out
talk
there.
about that. Maybe he's worried
But
about.
by the way, that guy and Tariq Shepard had a company. They were together consulting. What happened? A website got taken down. What's going on there?
We got to talk about that. So, Sal, we have a lot more to discuss. People need to stay with us. We're going to do
And
the
Trump too,
sponsor.
right? We had his
A lot to
I
talk
gotta
about.
say
His
this,
speech last night
speech.
about China, but people are going to join us on thesalgreco.substack.com, also on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com, and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We got one more minute. What did you want to say there?
Well, I said, I want to say this. I wrote about this on salgreco.com. Folks, go there for everything involving my platform, everything I do. I write a ton of articles, videos. You could buy a hairbag shirt. You could also donate if you can. You support me and Jack and the platform, what I do. I wrote about what happened last night, and I'm going to say this very quickly. If Trump was talking about this whole election fraud thing, which is basically everyone's been doing this, they gather your information, right? But he knew about this or he didn't know about this. Where was the announcement of an indictment? We are still waiting on all
I
that.
agree.
All of this means nothing unless someone is in handcuffs and held responsible. That's it. We don't want to hear anything anymore. And whether this is a deflection or not for his midterms, I don't know, because it's all going to boil down to what happens in November. But if no one's getting prosecuted, Jason, no one wants to hear this crap anymore. Do something about it, or let's move on because you did nothing about it. It's one or the other.
I agree. I was a little disappointed by that, but we've got a lot more to